There's a war happening. And I don't mean Iran or Ukraine or Palestine. This war, people don't even realise they're in it. It's not physical and it's not obvious, but it is constant. It's a war for your attention, and more importantly, your thoughts. Every single day, from the moment you wake up, you're being fed information. News, headlines, social media clips, opinions, outrage, fear, division. And a lot of it sounds important. It sounds like something you should care about, something you should stay informed on. But here's the problem. Most of it lives completely outside your control. And yet, it still shapes how you think, how you feel, and how you show up in your own life. The media is incredibly effective at making everything feel urgent. There's always something happening, something breaking, something you need to know right now. And it pulls you in. Because as humans, we're wired to pay attention to threats. It's survival instinct. But in today's world, that instinct is being used against you. Because now, you're not just exposed to threats in your immediate environment. You're exposed to everything, everywhere, all at once. Global conflict, political tension, economic fear, social division. And again, some of it is important, but here's the distinction most people never make. Just because something is important does not mean it is relevant to your life. You can spend hours consuming information about the world and still neglect your health, neglect your discipline, neglect your relationships, and forget about your goals. You become informed, but completely ineffective. And that's the trap. Every time you consume that content, it leaves something behind. You might not notice it straight away, but it accumulates. Stress and frustration, anger and fear. You start thinking about problems you cannot solve. You start forming strong opinions about situations you cannot influence. Slowly, without realizing it, your mind gets pulled away from where it actually matters. Instead of thinking about your next move, you're thinking about headlines. Instead of focusing on your personal standards, you're reacting to things happening across the world. That is mental hijacking. And the dangerous part is it actually feels productive. It feels like you're staying informed. It feels like you're engaged. But in reality, you're just distracted. People like to believe their mindset is independent, that they can consume anything and it won't affect them. But that's not how it works. If you constantly feed your mind negativity, outrage and chaos, you will start to reflect it. Your thinking becomes reactive, your mood becomes unstable, your outlook becomes cynical. And then people say things like, I feel stuck, I feel off, I've lost motivation, but they never really look at what they're feeding their mind every single day. You wouldn't eat junk food all day and expect to feel strong, energized, and healthy. But mentally, people do exactly that. Constant consumption, no filter, no discipline, and then they wonder why they feel the way they do. I'm not saying that you need to ignore the world. You don't need to disconnect completely. But you do need to become intentional. You need to start asking better questions. Is this within my control? Can I act on this? Is this improving my life? If the answer is no, then you need to limit it. Because your thoughts are your only real leverage point. Everything starts there. your actions, your habits, and your entire identity. And if your thoughts are constantly influenced by things you cannot control, you lose that leverage. You give it away. So instead, let's shift focus back to what actually matters: your body, your routine, your discipline, your work, your standards, your wife, your husband, your children. These are things you can influence. These are things that actually move your life forward. Look, the world is not going to get any quieter. There's always going to be noise. There will always be problems. There will always be something demanding your attention. That's not going to change. But what can change today is what you allow into your mind. Because once your thoughts are gone, so is your direction. Be selective. Be disciplined. Guard your mind and the minds of your children like it matters. Because it does.